Welcome to the Small Business Show. My name is Swire from Garuda Promo. Today we have an exciting show. We have a panel and also a small business owner. We have Nick Pyzow from CBIZ. We have Mike Castiglione, and we also have Jorge Abich from Great One Financial. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
The format that I have for us is I've been a business owner for a lot of times, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I wish that I have this format, this panel mastermind years ago. So I talked to George. He has some question. He's trying to grow his business, and then we here as a panel are going to help him with some of the answers that he's looking for. Before we start, let's do a quick introduction of who we are, why we're here, and what are our expertise. Do you want to go first, Nick?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nick Pyzow with the accounting firm CBIZ, Mayer Hoffman McCann. We're a national firm, top 10 accounting firm, and I am in charge of our business development efforts for our Southern California and California offices.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, Mike Castiglione with Sandler Training. We work with organizations to help teach them how to be more of a sales professional without sounding like one.
How about you, George?
Jorge Abich with Rate One Financial. I'm a loan officer and have been for 25 years. And I'm looking to, build new relationships and long partnership relationships.
Okay, so George, tell us a little bit more about your business, and then you could, jump on and ask us the question that you have.
So I work with a lot of home buyers, first-time home buyers, repeat home buyers that are looking to purchase homes 1 to 4 units. And, I always build relationships with real estate agents, which are great partners. But I've also spoken with a lot of loan officers, retired loan officers, that their sector of business was building relationships with CPAs and financial planners. And so I'm trying to find, a platform or avenues how to get in with these individuals to help them with their clients, because I know the business owners are unique in their own ways. They don't show a lot of things on their tax returns, which a normal maybe husband and wife may. So I know there's different unique avenues for them, and I know there's loan programs, maybe not at the moment, but there have been and there will be again platforms for them to take advantage of low rates or opportunities to get into properties. So I'm looking for help or maybe challenges, how to get past a gatekeeper, per se, and maybe the initial introduction even to get to that gatekeeper, because I know today the world is everything is shut down and we cannot enter into these offices freely as we did about 2 months ago. So that's what I'm looking, how to develop that side of the business.
Excellent. So George, just to get started, love the question. I think everyone who's listening can benefit from getting past some gatekeepers and, more importantly, getting better relationships. Can you give the panel and us just a little bit of context? What are some of the things you've done and the tactics you've tried up to today?
So in the last year and a half, I have joined a group called BNI. Okay. And through BNI, I have become more familiar, a small window of opportunity to talk to CPAs. And so I've been going through there. But with chapters, there are other lenders in the group. So I have reached out respectfully to the CPAs and have met with them on one-to-ones. But I mean, it's a short kind of a live thing, how do I stay on mind or insight and on mind, even though they have their own lenders in their group, whether they work with them or not, and then have tried to venture out from there. And it's gone okay, but it's not like, hey, let me give George a call, or how can I reach out to their other partners in their office that are maybe not associated with BNI and develop relationships with them.
Okay.
So it's been a little bit of a challenge to get past that.
So
Okay.
Who would normally be the gatekeeper when you call? Is it their assistant, or is it the receptionist? Like who are the gatekeeper that you're referring to?
Mostly as a receptionist in most places that I have come across. I have walked into, walked or roll in some of these offices. And there's always somebody at that front gate. And if I really don't know anybody there, I just handed a business card and said, offered my services, but I don't know where that business card goes, maybe in the trash, in their filing cabinet.
And as we continue, we're just going to start right. The idea of this exercise is quantity over quality.
Correct.
So Swire, Nick, and I are, and if something comes to your head and you're like, oh, let's try this, verbalize it.
Right.
We're just going to give you ideas. And
okay.
Those who are listening, if you have ideas, put them in the text box. Let us know. My first suggestion, Jorge, is don't offer services when you walk in. So I'm going to go right into what is embrace the gatekeeper. Ask them how they're doing. Don't hide from them. A lot of people, they be different. When you walk in, whatever your competition is doing, don't do it.
Right.
You want to stand out. So embrace them. Obviously right now it's virtual. So if you're talking to them on the phone, just ask them, what's going on in your office right now? Do a little bit of research. Understand what's going on in their industry, and are they on lockdown or are they coming back to work? So you may ask some pointed questions. How are you doing with the transition right now?
Okay.
So that kind of lowers the effective filter and say, all right, Jorge isn't just coming to hand a business card so I can put it over into my black bag over here, aka my trash can.
Right.
And all right, they see me as a person. And that goes to that idea behind relationship is my second suggestion is what is your goal? So how many are you trying to connect with? What is your, so first of all, how many are you trying to connect with? Or is it just kind of random whenever you think of one? So if you set a goal, I want to connect with 5 a day, 10 a week, whatever your goal is, do that first. And then number 2 is what is your goal of the conversation? Yes, it's obviously to sit down with the decision maker, but what are some of the secondary goals? Is it just to understand the company so that you can set up a second engagement with the gatekeeper, so I'll stop there. I have more ideas, but I want to give other people a chance to talk.
What do you think, Nick?
Well, Jorge, when I learned business, a very wise person said, be yourself and tell the truth. That way you never have to remember anything.
Right.
So to Mike's point of standing out without sticking out, and a lot of times now it's virtual, I'm not a fan of tricks or fooling people to get to a gatekeeper because none of us likes to be fooled or tricked. And think about what standard that sets or what foundation that sets for the relationship going forward. Yeah, I met him because he tricked me. So I found that just be yourself and tell the truth. So if there is a gatekeeper, honor where they're at. Hi, it's Nick with CBIZ MHM. We're a top 10 accounting firm. I need to speak to George. Sure. Can I ask what this is regarding? Well, it's a pretty important matter to your business and relationship. I don't want to bore you with the details, but I think it'd be worth the time. They at least go, okay, they're treating me like a professional. And then it opens a can of conversation. Well, he's really busy right now. You leave your message and you move on. But I found building a relationship with anybody in the company helps because that gatekeeper is the same one that allows your phone call through and blocks another one. Right. So if you don't look at it as defensively, but more like to Michael's point, building a relationship with anybody in the company, it's going to help. Once you reach that person, which can happen, and especially now, there are fewer gatekeepers because there's nobody at a desk because no one's answering a phone for anyone. Once you do reach that person, yeah, then you just candidly say, I'm looking to build a relationship or whatever your end goal is. So that's what I found with gatekeepers. And if someone's persistently or consistently saying they're not in, can I take a message? I sometimes will ask them that, say, are they just not interested in talking to me, or are they getting these messages, or maybe I'm not being clear? Something very candid and very open. And sometimes they'll cop to it. They're like, oh, they don't call anybody back. Oh, okay. Well, what's the best way to reach them? Because I really think we can add value to their business, but I just don't know yet. Right. And putting that sort of doubt and having them be part of the process, helping them empower them to look good to their boss. Because the last thing they want is for their boss to look at them and go, why'd you let that call through? Instead, they want to be viewed as, wow, you let that call through. You're an important part of my team. So it's a bit of honor where they're at. And I have found that overall it works stronger and it's higher quality.
Nick, I'm going to jump in on what you were just saying and add another talk track. It's their job to keep people like us from just call that out. you know, we have a saying, if you feel it, say it. And so it could be something like, Nick, I know it's your job to keep me from talking to Swire. How do I go ahead and schedule a meeting with them? What's the best process?
Yeah, involve them, yeah.
And you acknowledge that you're not trying to sneak past them. You
Right.
acknowledge that you have value to offer. And most times they're going to say, well, send them an email. Okay. You could follow up with, if I don't hear back from them, can I assume that that they're not interested? Or if I don't hear back from them, then what should I do? And just talk to them like a person.
Right.
You know, because that's the reality is the decision makers are busy. Otherwise, we wouldn't have someone answering their calls for them. They would be
But
answering.
they're talking to somebody, right? They've got 10 hours a day to make money. They're talking to somebody. And all you want is to get into the stream along with them somehow.
Yeah.
And but that's
Yeah,
a good
we don't know also how many other lenders or whoever else is trying to reach them as well to get their attention and get their business as well too. So that's another big challenge right there. Right?
Good point. If I were you and you were me, if you were on that phone and that was your goal, which people are being nice to you and making you feel like, oh, I'll take this call, and which ones do you roll your eyes when you see the caller ID?
Right.
And so you're right. Other people are trying to call. How does that person feel about that? So to Michael's point, even if it's a phone relationship, but it's still respectful and it's still very candid.
Well, in my world, actually, Nick just said tricks don't work, but tricks sometimes do work if you do it the right way. Because I have clients actually buy items just for all the gatekeepers. The boss obviously get the nice bottle of wine, like a premium gift, but then there are also people who target the gatekeeper. They send them chocolates, they send them nice gift, and then they follow up with a call.
Well, that's not a trick. That's just being cool.
Well, kind of like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
and then a lot of time I do with a lot of gatekeeper in my business too. I actually hang out at the gate. Obviously we do research for people that we ultimately want to talk to, but a lot of us don't do research on the gatekeeper. They are also a lot of information about them is on LinkedIn. Maybe, like Nick and Mike said, you take an interest in them. Maybe they play sports or they like a certain band, strike up a conversation with them. You want to be their friends because, like in your situation, they probably have, if they're a worthy client of yours, they probably have maybe 20 to 30 lenders that on the Rolodex, depending on what it is. Sometime who the gatekeeper like, then they might advise the boss to call. Maybe their main lender is not available, whatever reason. Then who do I call next? Who's the next to call? They probably have a list. And how do you be on the top of the list from the gatekeeper? So I'm actually friends with a lot of gatekeeper, and they not only they screen calls, they make the schedule for their boss. They tell them where they're going, when they're going, and they know all about their business. Then if you talk to them enough and you asking smart question, you actually can find a lot more about their boss than you read online. So I hang out at the gate. I sometimes don't go past the gate until I build a solid relationship.
And George, let me give you one more tactical thing. And I use this a lot, not during these times right now. Like I said, I am trying to embrace the gatekeeper, get a pulse of the organization through them. But normally I just talk format informal. So just simply be something along the lines of, hey, Jorge, is Nick in their office? Or, hey, Jorge, I don't suppose Nick's in his office, is he?
Okay.
So it's the informal. I'm not trying to be a sales professional. I'm not trying to trick. I'm just simply asking. And the idea of this idea that's casual, that, oh, he must know Nick, and therefore let me pass him through. And I very often do get passed through, and then you're into the cold call, and you're what? I've even heard, who is this? like I'm on mute, and he's like, why am I like, who is this?
Right.
So the idea of I know him, the casualness. Again, I'm not trying to trick them, but just having a comfortable level. Don't have a sales tone in your voice. Just talk to them like a person. If they're like, and who is this? What is this regarding? And then you can tell them who you are, and
be ready with that. Actually have a purpose. Don't be caught. Don't be caught.
Right. That's the next question is like, the follow through once they're like, okay, yeah, George, how are you? Or, how can I help you? And I guess that's where you, have to be ready with what you're going to say, right? And what you're, I guess at that point, are you going to offer what you do and who you are? No. Okay.
So I will go with a negative reverse. I'm not sure you can. And I might say something funny. I'm going to be honest, or hey, this is a cold call. I do work with industry leaders in whatever industry, and I work with them on A, B, or C. I don't suppose that you guys are going through any of these. So I'll ask more questions than say, I can provide all these features and benefits. Because like you said, there are other people calling, and they hear that 12 times a day.
Right. And they could be the same services too.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out? What is the best verbiage to stand out? Because we offer the same products. It's just, what makes me different? Okay.
Be honest and talk about relationships. I'm looking to establish relationships with industry leaders. I'm not even looking to do business, just trying to get a pulse on what people are doing right now and see if we might be able to work together.
Okay.
It's not I'm selling you a service. It's I might be able to, let's be honest. If this is real business, you're going to listen to what they're doing, and you automatically start connecting who might I be able to connect them with in a valued consultative way. So you don't want to be perceived as a vendor. You want to be perceived as a valued consultant.
Okay.
So.
And George, sometimes I just use it as a next step. I don't try to get right into a business discussion of, so what are you looking for and how do you work and things. Typically, I ask them if there's a time we can set aside to discuss it.
Yeah.
And because we might have caught somebody 5 minutes to an important conference call, or their kid got to get picked up or something. And so when I catch people unawares, or what Michael called cold, I tell them why I'm calling and what the purpose is there, and say if it makes sense to set up a time to discuss it further or explore that. And that gives them a yes, no, I understand that, but they don't hang up just going, what a waste of time that was. And it gives me a reason to call afterward. If I list everything I do and they say no, I've got no way in logically. Right. And you think about the calls you accept. Think about the calls you accept. Like if somebody calls and goes, hi, is this George? Yeah, great. I want to tell you about this. You're standing there going, and you're trying to find a way to get off the phone. So I have found to launch right into a business discussion sometimes, the person, all they're thinking is they're looking at their watch going, I got to quit in 1 minute. So again, everything works, but you'll feel that. So I found that that's a little more low key, but still important and still professional. Gives me a reason to call again, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, George, you have a lot of experience in your industry. So, I learned this from Mike, and, instead of giving them all your benefits and what you can do, ask them for questions. Because if they're in their particular industry, and obviously you have done your research, so a couple of points that they are all interested in. Maybe they're developing more land, or they need to refinance whatever that they need to do. Ask them questions that that they're concerned about, and have them tell you their challenge. Because if they have everything set up properly, they're probably not looking for another lender. But the type of people that you're looking for is maybe they're not finding what they're looking for in their current provider. So that's why you can go in and provide something that they're not getting right now, and then that's how you build a new relationship. So ask them questions that that they are concerned about, and then you could probably help them better the more you know about what they want.
Right. So more of like what the challenges their clients are facing with their situations in their whatever tax returns or businesses, and what their clients' goals are, and how can we find a solution for them, I guess would be the proper channels and questions to ask.
Have you tried?
Sorry, Mike.
So once you get to the yes, these are the challenges. What have you tried to do about it?
Myself? No.
This is what you could ask.
I got you. Right.
What have you done? So it's not, hey, let me just start throwing features out there.
Right.
It's what have you done? Now, as you start to ask these questions, you got a much better pulse on the organization. You start to see the challenges that they have, and in your head, you're formulating your solution. You already know what you can do.
Right.
And then you can start to, as Nick said, set up a time. If this is just an outreach, it's rare to have someone just clear-headed. So set up a time, and then when you set up a time, now you're in your business call. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so George, if you're reaching out to referral sources or what I would call a hub. They're not the client, but they have clients like a CPA firm. Be specific, be valuable, and that's how you'll stand out. Because lending is lending, tax is tax.
Right.
And so that's sort of an of course. So if you know something very specific to an industry they work in or a client profile that they work in, offer and talk about something very specific to that. Because if you ask a practitioner, what are your clients doing with terms of real estate? They don't have time to think of the 45 clients they service throughout the year and what's the commonality to it. Right. It'll be the most immediate one. So instead, think of something very specific or an issue that's timely or relevant or that you just addressed and use that as a jumping off point. Hey, Nick, hey, listen, real quick. Any of your guys doing qualified opportunity zones, especially in Ventura County? Yeah, actually, I've got a couple people like that. Why is that? Because I just worked out a deal where, and now you're specific and timely and relevant, and that practitioner goes, great. They're in the business, they're timely, they're specific, they're not being generic. They've got proven expertise right now, they're well-spoken. I can at least explore this to another level. Now, if they say, no, that's not coming up, then it's easier to say, okay, so you haven't seen that. Is there anything else you are seeing? Because I'm also, and just offer some examples and make a conversation out of it. Because a CPA practitioner needs value, just like a lender does, just like a lawyer. We need value. And so if we have a client dealing with an issue, we want to know we have a resource, an answer, a solution that's crafted, that's timely, that's cost effective, and actually furthers their business. Either helps them make money or helps them save money. That's the whole goal. And so if you come in more specific, that person or their team can go, George does that. Does that make sense? So hang your hat on something specific.
Right.
And from there you can go on.
Develop from there.
Hopefully, yeah. That's what we've seen. Because everybody gets cold calls. Everybody does. Right. And so if someone's very using your language, using your specific situation as an example, that gets your ear and your mind. And you go, okay, I could explore this. And if you're well-spoken and you have a pedigree and whatnot, then folks will start that relationship. They wouldn't necessarily turn around and go, great, I got a client. Here's their profile. See if you can get them 2.99. That's not going to happen.
Right.
However, you might get a few of those down the road because of the way you approached it. Just, giving you some insight there.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
I do a lot of research online. I'm more of an online person. So let's say, for example, if you're targeting company A, right? So if you do a Google search on them, if they're meaningful enough, they usually show similar business compared to A. So it means that sometimes they're competitors, sometimes they're partners. So I go to Google. You could subscribe to Google Alert. Anything that mentioned that company or anything that they're trying to do, it send me an alert through emails. So a lot of times, if you're developing a relationship, I'll actually tell them what their competitors are up to or what they're changing. So now you become a resource for them. So you're actually looking out for them. There are competitors making a move. Is this something that you wanted to jump onto? This is, and then you could help them. So you become a partner. You not become just another provider of money, that they need. So Google Alert is a quick tool, and you can subscribe to keywords, article, company-wise, and it's free. It will send it right to your inbox.
Okay.
And then don't go after those competitors as clients, because then you really look like an insider.
Right.
So I think the last question is, guys, where do we find them? Like, there are a specific, like, Nick, where do those developers hang out? Like, which bar do they go to?
Right. In terms of real estate developers and construction and things like that, most of the trade organizations, George, are where they go because they're meeting with their peers. And that's another good discussion about how to further relationships with current folks so you can go very small, like something like a VCCA, Ventura County Contractors Association. You can do Urban Land Institute. BizNow has a really good gathering of folks that are in real estate of all things. So that's typically where you will find folks because they need their knowledge, they need the camaraderie, they need the peer interaction, but they also need the market watch so they can be competitive in their own market. And so that's where I would go. And The more you know about that and what the actual issues are, then you can bridge it to how you might be a solution for a particular situation or a problem. Generic type of meetings like, hey, we're having a network mixer for the people who live in this city or whatever. That's fine, but it's a bit of a grab bag. You want to be more targeted with your time and energy. And so I have found I subscribe to two really well. So I try to find two organizations and be a part of them really well. Show up a lot, interact a lot, be a resource for the group a lot. And that way it's deeper, the name badge goes away. They're happy to see you, and you can get in, and then you can network through there. If you want to, later on, I can send you a list of some of the ones that I participate in the real estate industry, not so much developer specific. And then, like I said, take a few where you go, oh, I know this group, or I know what they do, or I recognize that name, something like that. It gives you a toehold. So when you show up, whether it's virtual like this or eventually in person, you're not completely deer in the headlights about it. But that's where those folks are going to go. Developers aren't going to go network. What would they do there, right? So they're going to go to their peer organizations, find out what's new in their industry, what are the new regulations, what are they dealing with, and how are their peers doing it. And trust me, anybody who's been in business a while knows who the other folks are, because chances are they work together at some point and then they split off.
Right.
So that I would recommend something like that.
And when you do reach out to these organizations, just take what we just talked about in the first part of this call, rinse and repeat. So you reach out to the president or the board member and just talk about what's going on new in their industry. What's going on with their members? What are some of the challenges they're facing? And you just listen.
That's a good point, Mike. If you can, sometimes those fake places do have membership lists. There won't be contact information, but it'll just have a membership list. See how many mortgage lenders are in there. If there's already 14 or 15, you go, all right, clearly there's fish in this pond, but there's a lot of poles in this pond, right? If there's only one or two or none, then you go, okay, is there really nothing there? Or I discovered a pond nobody's fishing in. But that's an important one too.
And I'll keep on the fishing. Can you be the captain of the boat? So, like you said earlier, Nick, is what do you have to offer? Can you offer a 20-minute info session? Or it's not a commercial about your organization. It's valued information that they need. And now that puts you at the front of the boat. So everyone sees Jorge as the champion and the competent advisor. So I want to go to them. So that's what I do. I try to reach out to the presidents. I don't join all the groups because, as Nick said, if you're not a member and you're not present, people are just going to see you like a fast running stream. People come and go. Right. So pick a couple groups you can set roots in, and then try and be a trusted advisor for other groups.
Yeah, and then a good way to follow money, I've seen, going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and the city and the county is building a lot. They put up different projects there. So all the big developers, all the players are always bidding on big contract. They also will have a list of team that they build together. You could be available on there. For example, the LA Metro is building a lot of things. They build freeways, they build the hubs. So they actually have a gathering. There are a lot of events. One of the meeting I like to go to is called Meet the Prime. So all the prime contractor who are doing a lot of federal work, we actually host a different seminar, actually coach small business how to do business with them. So you can look at that angle too, because we are all small business here. So they actually have quota they have to set aside a certain type of business to work with small business. So I think that's another angle that you can kind of follow the money, look at the criteria that it has, because if you could fit in all the set aside that they do, you're more advantageous than other people who are even much bigger than you. I have worked on projects that have set aside that fit so right into our company that I cut my competition to 70% less. So there are opportunities that fit your profile more. You also speak fluent Spanish, so that might be another advantage for you. So you might go to a networking event, or you're networking with people that are Spanish speaker only. So look at what works for you personally, your style, and then we obviously got to mention cigars and boats. Can you tell us a little bit more about? I think that could play into your advantage, George. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, I own a boat. I've had boats since I was about 12 years old, and just love to water ski, and I love the whole water adventure. And at the same time, cigars. Back in '97, friends of mine started getting into smoking cigars, and since I'm Cuban and my dad still has a lot of friends in Cuba, we started bringing Cuban cigars in since then. And so it's always it's a great little hobby of mine, and I always love to share a good cigar with other fellow aficionados.
Yeah, then you could filter your search. Cigar smoker, like boating, Spanish developer. Yeah,
cigar smoking water skier. Yeah, who's a developer?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. You smoke, you go on a boat, and you talk live in business. I think that's I always say that find a niche and don't be afraid to go really, really specific. Because if people would like to relate to people that they like and they want to do business with their friends.
Absolutely. I just want to be conscious of our time, as this last 30 minutes flew by.
Yeah.
Whenever we do problem solving, this is great. These are all great ideas, but unless you put it into action, it's all for nothing. So we always want to finish with, what are 1 to 2 tangible things that you're going to go do and take away from this conversation?
Well, definitely going to reach out to CPA offices right here in my own neighborhood, and start making those calls and see how I can introduce myself in a very friendly and easy manner, and start try to open those doors and ask for. I have names that I've already written down, a few offices that I'd like to approach, and start from there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. It's been really fun. Times go by really fast. And, if any small business owner, do you have their question like George, please email me, track me down. I'll put together a panel. I'll have Nick and Mike on again, and then we go from there. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good evening.